Really looking forward to today. We're off to see a guy called Mark, and he runs Kompressor Haus. If you've not heard of Kompressor Haus, they actually make supercharged kits for Beetle engines and I assume bus engines. So it bolts onto a Type 1 motor, and it looks a really nice bit of kit. A friend of mine is basically looking to replace his dual carb setup with a supercharger, and it's something personally I've been wanting to do for about 20 years. It's actually the reason we built the 1776 the way we did. It's just never quite happened yet. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing Mark. Hopefully we'll get to see the engine in action, and if we're lucky we'll get to go for a ride and see how it feels and how it sounds as well. Let's go. So what size engine is this one?
This is a 1641.
1641. Yeah. And what's the maximum size you'd recommend it to go on?
1915. So they
wow,
can go
as
from
big as
1200s.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 1200 single ports. As long as they're not the early engine that's got like the alternator cradle all as part of the crank, you know, the engine casing. But the later 1200s, yeah, you can fit them.
But it goes up to a 1900, which is bigger than I thought they would do, actually.
Yeah, 1915. We've got a couple of customers with 1915s,
right.
And they were running them on twin 40s and weren't really expecting many gains, but very, very happy with what they're seeing.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I think the more mods. I mean, this is built up on a sort of standard stock cam, and so on, and really it's really to try and demonstrate, you know,
right.
fitting it onto a...
So is a stock cam best to run with the supercharger?
Well, no, I mean, you can go higher. I mean, the Engel W100s are a good cam,
okay, and
the 110s are equally as good, but then of course you need to upgrade your springs and so on, you know, your cam followers and such whatnot. But they do produce quite a significant increase, you know, with a decent ignition system, good cam, good block. You're looking at 140 brake from something like a 1700, 1776.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's quite rapid. And this has got that tube on it that you were talking about yesterday. Look, this is the one that's got the maximum sized.
Ah, right. So that's what I'm on about. See where it goes like that there. Yeah. The other one, the old one, just went.
Yeah. And so
I've got some actually in the car. I'll show it you. Like, this is on a standard kit where you'd have two like that. So you've got a much smaller hole here. I mean, these are just all raw and need all polishing up and everything.
Yeah, look at the size of that one there.
So, but they run well with these. They do run well with these. But what you've got there in the supercharger is this 50mm tube, which basically extracts all of the compressed air from the supercharger straight down there. There's a reducer here, so it's compressing it further. Yeah. And then these just literally split it. So
it's nicely gas flowed as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So what you've got here, if you imagine this face. It's like a square on the supercharger, right, so you get air turbulence there, and then you also get air turbulence when it hits the bottom of that. So what that's doing is creating that flow. But saying that, they do run well with these on as well, you know. But I think if you were going, what we recommend is 1776 or higher.
In terms of exhaust, to getting air out.
Oh right, okay. So up to a 1776, your standard exhaust type. You know, the 30, is it 34 or 38mm tube?
Right.
But to get air out for a higher revving engine, I'm changing this exhaust actually, and I've just ordered a new.
So it's like the single quiet pack style one.
Yeah, I'm going for the 42mm tube.
Right. So
I don't need to, but.
So you don't need a big exhaust to get lots of gas out easily, basically.
No, you don't. No,
okay.
No, you don't. It'll run perfectly fine. 1600, 1641s. But like I say, if you're going up to your 1776, 1835s, 1915s, and you really want to be looking at putting a bigger exhaust tube on to get the gas out.
Yeah. I got this on the rolling road. Do you know what sort of? So you said 140 brake?
Not on this one. That was one that if you put a different car. This is 105.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 105. That's with a
stock 1641.
1641.
Yeah.
Pardon.
Yeah. They're all. The problem is that they're all different, as you know. I mean, you can have 10 1641s, and they'll all give you different results. You know, on a rolling road. But it just all depends on tuning and jetting. And
do you know what sort of torque figures you?
100 and 50 something, I can't remember exactly.
So still plenty into it.
It's a lot, yeah.
150. So what would a standard Beetle be then?
55 horsepower on a 1641 usually.
Tops,
About
similar,
45 horsepower on a standard stock with a Solex carb on. This gearbox is a 1200 gearbox in this one. The other one has gone off to be done. It's having all the freeway flyer gearing in it, because what you do find is you get there very quickly if you want to. But if you do that, then it's a little frustrating, because you know you've got all that extra power and you can't use it. So that's the only other.
And so the torque's the nice bit, isn't it, when you're driving it?
Well, that's the torque is what you
easy.
feel, isn't it? When you drive it, the numbers in terms of BHP, you don't really, you don't really know. But yeah, it's all good fun. You know, it's.
What are the carb options? So you got a twin choke on this one.
Twin choke on this one.
Harley carb, you say?
Yeah. So the other one is a Harley Davidson carb.
Not this one.
No, not this one. So
Okay.
it's a single 40.
Okay.
You get you get a little bit less power from it, but you get better economy.
Okay.
And I would say, to be fair, the drivability is a little better.
Okay.
I find. So I've had them on and off this so many times, doing different trials and so on with them. I mean, I've been messing around this week just with jetting on this car, trying different jet sizes again. But the Harley Davidson setup, there's two options. You can have an original Harley Davidson carb, but they're like 300 or 400 quid. What we do is we have a clone Harley Davidson carbs for these, and they're very good, but they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. Drivability is great. The types of figures you'd be looking at on the same sort of engine. If I was to take this off on a rolling road, 105 horsepower with this setup, the other one I'm looking at around about 92 horsepower. So it's a little bit of a drop, that you can buy a genuine Harley Davidson one, or you can buy a clone.
How
one.
much better are they?
Not. I would. To be honest, they're a very simple carburettor. There's not a lot in there. No, and there's. I would say that there's probably not much of a difference.
You're not detracting from quality then.
If you're a Harley Davidson, you know, if you're a Harley Davidson owner, you'd want to put a Harley Davidson carb on your bike. You're putting them on a Volkswagen, you know, so you haven't got that affiliation, if you like, with Harley Davidson. You know, we used to have the clone carbs fitted for these Webers, but we found that they were quite difficult to tune in. Whereas with the genuine Webers, they're tried and trusted. You know, so many people use them for so many different applications, and that's why we like them, and that's why we don't sell our kits with the clone Webers anymore, because they were a little bit troublesome.
So this basically is a really, really top quality filter.
Exactly, yeah.
For getting rid of
what we try and do with our kits is basically build everything with quality products. So Malpassi filters, Weber carburettors, stainless steel. Our welder is 40 years experience in aerospace welding and engineering.
So you know this part here, is that part of the kit?
That's an additional extra as well, because you see a lot of people have already got them. So having it as part of the kit didn't really make sense. So again, it's an optional extra. But when you go onto the web page, you can select your kit, put it in your basket, and then when it's in the basket, there are lots of different options that you can go for. So you can select.
So this part here is highly recommended by yourself to have.
I wouldn't put one on your engine without one.
Right.
Because what you're doing is you're compressing air, you're forcing it into your engine, but you've got to let it breathe. If you don't, what you'll tend to see is all the weak points inside your crankcase will start to show. So weak seals and so on. So you might start to see oil leaks and so on. So you've got a vent here on your bracket. So that comes up here, look, and then goes to the breather box. You've got the one which comes from your oil filler, and then you've got the other two which go to your rocker covers.
So you've got a bunch of rockers on there as well.
Exactly.
And that looks quite simple to fit.
It is very simple. Yeah. But it's an absolute must. Absolute must. I wouldn't
And so
recommend fitting
we've
one.
got this here. That is simply to.
Yeah, that's just simply to ensure that the right amount of pressure that's going to your carburettor. So again, that was only fitted because I've been using it for testing the sleeper kits and so on. And that's why the only reason why the Malpass is actually on there as well, because it all forms part of, you know, that sleeper kit. It's a requirement really to ensure that you get the right level of fuel pressure to your sleeper carburettor, because if you think about it, it's a motorcycle carb and it's fed by gravity, and they can't cope with the pressure spikes from an electric fuel pump.
Right.
So to get rid of that, what you do is you loop it through the Malpass filter bowl, and then it removes those pressure spikes.
Right.
And then of course what you can do is you can set your pressure then on your Malpass filter. But
so you're saying this is off a different vehicle? This is a better.
So they're originally made in Japan, and they're made by a company called Aisin. And Aisin make loads of products for Japanese products, Toyotas, Subarus, Nissans, so on.
Right.
Aisin manufactured them originally, and they were manufactured for Subaru, and they go onto a little 600cc car, but it's only available in Japan. It's for the Japanese market.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what they were originally for. There's a company. There are lots of companies that are dealing with this, and we've tried hard to make sure that the company that we're dealing with is providing us with good units. There is a company in China that make copies of them, but they're very different because the way that you can tell is the mounting position is different, whereas this one's sort of offset, the Chinese one is centered.
Right.
It looks very similar, but very often they come painted silver, but they don't last long.
So yours are all black?
No, they're either just aluminium, aluminium coloured, or we can have them powder coated. So some customers like to have them powder coated different colours, so depending on what they're doing with their engines and so on,
So and then
but in most cases, most people just have them.
On the telephone conversation, you said you've never had a failure
with a supercharger. No.
With one of these?
No, we've never had a customer with a failure. No, but we have filtered out the odd one ourselves before we fitted them onto an engine, where we thought the bearing is a little noisy. So when we run them, we put them on a rig, we run the engines, but we sort of listen to what's going on within here, because although they're remanufactured, they don't always remanufacture. They don't always replace the bearings, so they won't replace the bearings in them if they're deemed to be okay. But if we think that it's a little bit rumbly, then we'll put new bearings in them before we send them out anyway.
So basically, you buy them as reconditioned, and then you just double check them yourself.
Yeah. And that's we do it for two reasons. One, for our own peace of mind, to know that what we're sending to you as a customer is a good product. We've heard it running ourselves, and we've sent a video of it running to you as well.
Can I ask how much the kits start from and where you can go to with it? Or
12.95 is your standard stock kit.
Okay.
That's for the sleeper kit.
Yeah.
So that will get you everything you pretty much need to bolt it all up as you can see it there, ready. The only other options are electric fuel pump and a pressure gauge like this. But it comes with a Malpass filter. And then the other one, which is this kit, again standard kit, 1650. Everything that you see there, again, the options are the breather boxes and the fuel pumps.
Okay. So 1650 is as expensive as it gets at the minute. And they got the additions of the breathers and the filters and everything else.
Right, yeah.
Electric fuel pump.
They come with the MST filter kits, by the way, as well.
Okay, so that's all included as well.
That's all included. So basically everything that you see, the MST kit.
Is this a choke? That's a choke.
That's a choke cable.
Oh,
yeah.
Right, okay.
Look, there's an option to use scat kits as well. So these have got 4 ribs. So if you're going to want to change your engine size and you want something a bit more powerful, then what we would recommend is if you're going up sort of 1770s, well, I'd say 1770, then you've got the option to think about maybe having a scat kit, because you've got 5 ribs then, you see. And then what we do is we don't use this part for the scat, this idler pulley. We have an idler pulley that fits here, that's why that's there.
Right.
So you have a belt that's looped like that then on the scat setup, rather than like this dog leg type, you know. With this one you've got to have the big standoffs on because of simply the size of the carb.
So the twin choke carb setup, you've got to have basically the standoffs
if
on
you
the
want to
engine
put it in a Bug, if they won't go into a Carman unless you've got a dynamo on, because of the height of the alternators, and there's so many varying different alternators. But what we do for the sleeper kit is we basically compressed everything, so we've got a shorter bracket, we've got another manifold that sort of goes over in that direction with the Harley Davidson carb on there.
Yep.
So you say you've got a 3 weeks waiting time?
Yeah, 3 week lead time.
Oh, sold.
3 weeks waiting time.
Yeah. To jump in back.
Okay then, yeah, you're going.
Are you going back or shall I?
Yeah, I'll go in the back. This is.
You might. Well, hang on. Let's get it out of the way. There we go. Yeah, put it around your neck.
Hey.
Sorry. I don't want to squash you.
I'm okay. You go for what you want to do.
Well, you can drive it normally, you know. Then when it's there, well, that's what you feel, isn't it? That. So,
subtle. You can hear it.
yeah.
It's quite subtle, and that's quite agreeable.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. You don't want noisy, do you?
Going down the road with a great big flipping whistle.
No. People do like to hear the whistle.
Yeah.
But it's not.
But it's not in your face. It's not like.
If you're outside, and you know you're stood at the side of the road. It's probably a bit more pronounced, I would say.
Yeah. So this is your daily driver then? You drive this everywhere?
Not every day, but I tried to drive it as many times as
So have you been like a Beetle nut ever since?
My first car when I was 17 was a Beetle. Well, I bought it when I was 16.
Same here.
Did you? Yeah. So,
oh yeah, I've had 4 or 5.
I got the Bug early on, you know.
Yeah,
so I've always had some sort of Volkswagen, you know.
Miles per gallon on this. It's going to be, you said 22.
About 27.
27.
Obviously, it's quite a big car.
On a single show.
Yeah, probably about, I would imagine, around about. I haven't got real figures, but I'm assuming it's going to be between 35, 36, 37 type, because you've only got one carburettor, if you like. You haven't got that big beast sucking all that fuel through you.
So yeah, I don't know who that is, but you're on YouTube now.
It's not. It's getting cut out.
Oh, is it? Oh, right.
What do you think to the? I mean, just to say it's a standard 1640 watt.
I'm impressed with everything. Everything I've seen, I'm impressed with. So I think that this engine, this setup in mind, that's been great, Mark. Thank you very, very much.
This kit, this DCOE kit here, this one comes as piece parts, so you have to do more assembly with this one.
Yeah.
But what we do with the sleeper one, we kind of keep it all pre-assembled, so it's already on the superchargers fitted to the bracket.
Oh.
The carbs on it, the downpipes on it.
All right.
So you just you just literally drop it
Bang,
on.
Put it on. All right. Okay.
And assemble it together. What we'll do with the sleeper carb is, so we'll set all that up, so you don't need to monkey around with any of the settings or any. You should be able to just plonk it on, bang, and it should be able to start it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is a fine tuning to be had with that carburetor, or is it set up as it should be?
If you're happy with it as it is, and it's running fine and it's driving fine, then I'd leave it alone.
Right.
But you know, from time to time there are customers. So what we say is there are certain engines where you can fit them to an engine and it will need the most insignificant minor sort of tuning, and that might be just air fuel ratio type things, you know, adjustments on the carburetor, and maybe just you know, of course you've got to get your timing right and everything.
Yeah.
But then with the DCOE kits, you can get to the extreme where
I think that's
you
probably
might
wise
come
to have that done.
you might come across a flat spot.
Yeah.
And although we offer like a jetting service, so we rejet those. So if you say you've got a 1776, then we'll jet that carb for a 1776, and it's all done on a theoretical basis based on engine capacity and everything else. Okay.
So if anything goes wrong with it in 6 months, it's covered.
Yeah, so there's terms and conditions to have a look at on the web page. Yeah. Right. So one of the things that you do when you order your kit, the last thing is you accept terms and conditions of sale.
Right.
So have a look at the terms and conditions on the web page, and everything's dead clear in there. But basically, if you've got anything that's defective, we'll replace it.
Right, shall we bail out then, and we'll leave him in peace. Thanks for that.
That's really good. Thank you very much.
That's all right.
Awesome. Appreciate it, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Top man.
See you later, pal.
Yeah.
Spongy Beetle. I like these seats. Certainly sounds nice.
It does. I mean, this is, I suppose, a good demonstration that you can drive it nice and steady, and normally you don't have to drive around like an idiot, you know.
So this engine, you said the 1641, it's 105 brake. I was looking at some stats while we're having 5 minutes, and the new Beetle, 2018 Beetle, they both have 105 brake. Funny enough.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Kind of gives you a kind of a feel, a baseline of how quick it should be. So I was looking at a brake horsepower price comparison for a 1776 or a bigger engine, and I came across the CB Performance engine that claims to have 105 brake that you buy in parts, and with the American UK conversion that works out at 3,600 quid for the short block.
Wow.
So 105 brake horsepower costs you twice what yours gets.
You're going to say this is half of that cost.
Yeah.
And of course, you haven't got to build your engine.
Absolutely.
You can leave it in the car. Yeah. You can build around it. The benefits for these, like I say, are you haven't got to. The part's about trying to keep your carbs balanced. You can just Sunday afternoon, instruction manual, cup of tea in your hand, and basically just fit your kit, and in 2 hours time you're pretty much supercharged.
Brilliant.
Albeit with, of course, a few tweaks that you're going to have to probably make in terms of tuning. So, getting your ignition timing correct. Get some quite good feedback from some of the customers we've had. Where they've been able to sort of fit them relatively quickly. We had one customer that had his kit on a Wednesday, sent out on a Wednesday, received it on the Thursday, fitted it on the Saturday, and he was at a show on Sunday.
Brilliant.
With a big smile on his face, so it's good to see, 'Cause that's what we want to try and do with these kits. We want to try and make them as easy as possible to be able to install them, and we try and do a lot of that sort of pre-assembly work before we send the kits out. But what most people like is the noise.
Right. I just noticed how smooth it is. It's, there's no, obviously no lag anyway.
No, it's not juddery at all, is it? It's
certainly as a passenger, it feels very smooth.
Yeah, but this is a good example, I suppose, because we're on a normal, just come off the motorway. We're in the outside lane. We've got a BMW in our way. Keeping up with normal traffic, you see.
Yeah.
Really easy. And that's what people want. People want these kits mainly for cruising along, being able to get past traffic, keep up with traffic, get round the HGVs, and if you're in a bus or a splitty or something like that, you want to be able to cruise along, get up the hills without having to sort of drop down into second gear, and struggle. With the addition of the kit, it takes all of that away. You don't have to worry about being fully laden or worrying about which route you might want to take on your journey. But it's a really good solution. To be fair, it's a really affordable kit. By the time you compare it to buying, a twin carb setup, such as your twin IDFs, you've got your manifolds to pay for, your carburetors, the linkage, the cables, all of that stuff, air filters, etc. By the time you've bought that nice kit, but you've got to, of course, keep it balanced. And when you've got it there, on a 1641, comparing it to something like this, which is producing 105 horsepower, that'll probably produce you about 80 odd horsepower.
Yeah.
So even though with this kit, you've got a significant increase again in power from that. And you've got probably better economy as well, because you're only running one carb on this. So we either run the Weber DCOE, the single carb, or we have the Harley Davidson sleeper kit, which runs a single 40 and is of course a lot more economical than this one, but still gives you equally as much power, and still more power than you would if you were considering the twin IDF solution.
Yeah. So with a 1200 box, I get any ideas what sort of 0 to 60 you can get off the line?
Not really, but it's something that we can test.
Have a little play.
Well, let's have a little play with it, yeah, and see what we think it will do.
So I tend to use the Mark 1 GTI as a baseline for a quick Beetle, so it's about 10 seconds, 0 to 60. I know it's not going to be very accurate, but it'd be a bit of fun to try, wouldn't it? See what we can do.
It would, yeah. Let's give it a go. Let's see what happens.
So we're going to try a 0 to 60 in the least scientific way possible. I'll press it as you go if I can, and then
Okay, go.
Hey, so 8-9 seconds. And you go quiet, slow, off in first as well, so pretty good.
Better than I thought, to be there. I don't know if my speedo's accurate though.
Right.
We've got another couple of engines or setups that we're working on at the moment as well. So we're hoping by year end we'll have another 2 options.
Cool.
So one will be for mainly things like Yamahas and beach buggy type things,
Right.
where you've got a single IDF that sits in the middle, so it's like a downdraft carb.
Yeah.
And also we're working on an option for people who've already got twin carbs, the twin IDF setups.
Right, so you got like an induction pipe into them.
Yeah, exactly. So we're working on that as well at the moment. So that's all drawn out already. We just need time really to be able to get on it and do it. So I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah, sounds good.
And then there is one other option which is for next year or early next year. In fact, we might even have it done at the end of the year. So on your big boy engines, so I don't know, such as your strokers and so on, where we're going to be having kits where you can fit twin superchargers as well.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah, so,
I've actually seen one of those on Facebook, I think it was, and it looked absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so twin superchargers, one strapped on either side, so they'll be quite high, but fantastic, I think.
So not going under a deck lid though.
No, it won't fit under your deck lid, unfortunately. No, but once you've got it strapped in, it's probably more for, again, I think more for fun when you just want to be playing around with them. But yeah, very excited to be trying to get that finished.
Awesome stuff. That's brilliant. Thank you very much, matey.
No
Appreciate
worries. I'm glad you came.